The unforgettable scene that took Bonanza off the air. Western fans in the 1960s were spoiled by two rival powerhouses, Bonanza and Gunsmoke. While Gunsmoke is the longest-running Western, Bonanza isn't far behind, with 14 seasons and nearly 400 episodes, with a few TV features thrown in for good measure. Because Bonanza lasted so long, there was a lot going on behind the scenes that even the most ardent fans are unaware of. The episode length was due to David DeTort. If you've ever seen a 1960s sitcom, you know that they didn't always represent TV dads in the greatest light. The program's writer and producer, David DeTort, decided he wanted to fill out Ben Cartwright's character and depict a parent who might be a role model. He believed that 30-minute programs just didn't provide him enough time. As a consequence, he battled for hour-long episodes and was rewarded for his decision. Cartwright's bond with his kids became a fundamental cause for the show's success. Michael Landon is shorter than you think. Despite his character's moniker, Michael Landon despised the fact that Little Joe was substantially shorter than the other Cartwrights. Landon was several inches shorter than the other performers, who were all approximately 6 feet tall. He donned 4-inch lifts or platform shoes to compensate for the height discrepancy, bringing him up to 6'1". He continued to use this method after leaving Bonanza and joining other ventures. The characters never changed clothes. Viewers who pay great attention to the costuming may observe that the characters never changed their outfits. Because Bonanza was already one of the most costly productions of its day, the team had to find ways to save money wherever they could. They may keep expenses down by employing the same outfits in each episode and inserting stock video as appropriate. Pernell Roberts was tired of the show. It's no secret that some performers become tired of working on the same program after a while. Pernell Roberts, who portrayed Adam Cartwright, departed the program after 6 seasons because he believed it wasn't clever enough for him. Following his departure, the other Cartwright actors divided his compensation equally among themselves. Westerns run in the family. Many of the Bonanza performers' families were Western fans. Following Michael Landon's success on Bonanza, the Landon family is featured in a number of Westerns. Several of his 9 children appeared in episodes of Bonanza and Little House on the Prairie. Michael Landon Jr. wrote for the long-running Western When Calls the Heart, when Jen Landon recently became a fan favorite as Teeter in the contemporary Western Yellowstone. The Russells also made several appearances in Western films. Bing portrayed Clem Foster on Bonanza and appeared in numerous other genre films. Even Bing's grandson, Wyatt Russell, continues the lineage by appearing in Cowboys and Aliens and The Good Lord Bird. Hop Sing was a real chef. Victor Sen-Young, best known for his portrayal as the Cartwright family's cook, Hop Sing, was a renowned character actor who starred in a variety of shows throughout the years. He was an expert cook, exactly like his Bonanza character, and an example of art mimicking reality. He appeared in many food programs and gave many Cantonese cooking techniques. Victor Sen-Young's Great Wok Cookbook, which comprised over 200 dishes, was even published by him. Zorro nearly played Adam Cartwright. Fans loved Adam Cartwright, and it's difficult to picture anybody else in the position. Pernell Roberts, on the other hand, was not the first option for the oldest brother. Guy Williams was initially cast as Adam by NBC, and he was even given the part. He was rejected, however, after getting the title part of Zorro. Williams did ultimately portray Cartwright when he appeared in 5 episodes as a relative, Will Cartwright. Wigs, hats, and more. After 14 seasons, several of the cast members started to show their age. Several of the show's prominent males began to bald in later seasons. Dan Blocker, who portrayed Hoss, was the first to wear hairpieces, but the other Cartwrights quickly followed suit. Michael Landon is of course an exception. He preserved his full head of wavy hair for the duration of the performance, but he did color it to cover some of the gray. Star Trek crossovers galore. When they ran at the same time, the concepts, plots, and settings of Star Trek and Bonanza couldn't have been more unalike. The cast lists of both series, however, shared numerous names. William Shatner, Leonard Nimoy, George Takei, and James Doohan, for example, have had cameos on Bonanza throughout the years. David Canary, well known for his role as Candy Canaday on Bonanza, was considered as a possible successor for Leonard Nimoy on Star Trek during Nimoy's contract dispute with NBC. Michael Landon was picky Despite being one of the set's youngest performers, Michael Landon wasn't hesitant to speak out. He often requested reshoots to ensure that everything was flawless. Landon also took on additional responsibility behind the camera at the conclusion of the show's existence and maintained his meticulous tendencies. He authored and directed several episodes throughout the past 5 seasons. Other cast and crew members said that he often interrupted takes and stopped shooting to discuss characters, scripts, and other things. The constant stopping and starting got exhausting for the rest of the group. He was also not hesitant to go up against the network in order to keep the program on track. Dan Blocker was a tough guy on and off the set. Eric Hoss Cartwright was often the subject of many jokes and buffoonery, but when it came down to it, he was always dependable. Hoss's actor, Dan Blocker, was as harsh as his role. Blocker's horse flung him to the ground during shooting, fracturing his collarbone. Instead of interfering with the scene, Blocker just set his bone and resumed shooting. He sought medical assistance once shooting was over and spent 6 weeks rehabilitating. Big names loved Bonanza. Every week, 2 of the greatest names in music tuned in to see Bonanza. The program was a favorite of both Elvis Presley and Johnny Cash. Cash was even the first to record a rendition of the legendary Bonanza theme tune. This prompted many other musicians to produce renditions of the song, albeit the King was an exception despite his love of the program. Reruns had a different name. Reruns are nothing new, although the name of the program seldom changes. Bonanza is an exceptional case. When the program was re-aired in 1972, the network opted to call it Ponderosa after the ranch where it was filmed. However, once the program was canceled, repeats resumed using the original title. Ponderosa is also the name of a short-lived prequel that ran from 2001 to 2002, adding to the confusion. The show inspired 2 restaurant chains. The impact of Bonanza was so profound that it created 2 distinct restaurant businesses. Both were steakhouses, in line with the show's themes and aesthetic. In 1963, Dan Blocker established the Bonanza Steakhouse franchise. Dan Lasseter and 4 other businessmen created the Ponderosa Steakhouse only 2 years later. These restaurants fought for many years until merging when the Metro Media Restaurant Group purchased both companies. Bonanza was saved to sell color TVs. Bonanza struggled to establish its foothold in early seasons. The show's ratings were dismal, and many people expected that NBC would cancel it. Bonanza, on the other hand, was one of the first programs to run in color. Radio Corporations of America, NBC's parent corporation, was a major maker of color television sets and was the principal sponsor of the show's first 2 seasons. Bonanza's popularity skyrocketed once it was moved to a new time slot, and it was a key influence in many homes' choices to purchase color televisions.